Morning broke quietly that day, the kind of morning when the air feels crisp and every sound sharpens. Rustling leaves, the distant crow of a rooster, the gentle hum of insects. Life's subtle orchestra played on. Luna, a slender tortoiseshell with amber eyes like molten gold, lay curled in a worn wicker basket. Her kittens, three striped bundles of fur named Milo, Pippa, and Dot, tumbled over each other in playful wrestling. Their tiny mews and squeaks felt safe, innocent, unaware of the danger approaching. Luna's heart swelled with a mother's love as she groomed their soft heads. Each lick a promise that no harm would come to them. But fate unfurled on silent paws. A venomous snake, sleek and dangerous, had entered their domain. No one saw the snake at first. It moved like a living shadow, its scales shimmering with muted patterns that blended perfectly with fallen leaves. It was drawn by the scent of kittens, warm, vulnerable life that called out in its own way. As the snake slid closer to the wicker basket, Luna paused, ears pricking at something beyond her perception. A faint vibration in the earth, a scent carried on the morning breeze. Danger. Time seemed to slow as she lifted her head, nostrils flaring. Instinct screamed, yet her mind swirled with fear. Just yesterday, she had guided her kittens to chase prey in the field. Today, the hunter had come for her young. Would she stand and fight, risking her own life, or dash away, leaving them defenseless? In the next moment, the snake struck. Its jaws opened, tongue flicking and tasting the air, calculating its strike. But Luna tensed, her body coiled like a spring. She lunged forward with surprising speed, a hiss of defiance escaping her throat. The snake recoiled, surprised by such boldness from a creature half its size. Yet it did not retreat. Instead, it turned, eyes glinting, fangs exposed in a silent threat. With her back to the wall of the basket, Luna's pupils narrowed. Her world had narrowed to one focus: protect her kittens. The tension in the air crackled like electricity, and the moment stretched. Would she snap under fear, or channel that raw instinct into action? She moved with feline grace, striking at the snake's head. Claws raked against smooth scales, and a flurry of strikes flew faster than the eye could track. The snake lashed out, but Luna anticipated. Before it could sink its fangs, she twisted aside, nimble and precise. Each strike was a calculated gamble. For Luna, there was no room for error. One bite, one small opening, and she would be gone, leaving her kittens to face the cold world alone. Milo, Pippa, and Dot huddled in the basket, tiny hearts beating rapidly as the hiss of the snake and the rasp of Luna's growl filled the dawn. Their wide eyes reflected a mixture of fear and hope, trusting their mother to shield them. Suddenly the snake reared back, its body coiling for a final strike. Luna's muscles quivered with tension. She felt the venom's promise of pain and paralysis looming. In that split second, a memory flickered. Countless nights when she had carried her kittens in her mouth, guiding them to hidden spots beneath the porch, away from lurking threats. She remembered the agony of losing her first litter to a fox last spring, a raw wound that made her vow to protect these new lives with everything she had. And now here she stood, facing a creature built to kill. The world seemed to hold its breath. In the blink of an eye, Luna sprang. With a powerful leap, she pinned the snake's head to the ground, claws gripping with unrelenting ferocity. The snake thrashed, coils writhing, but Luna held fast, eyes blazing. She bit down on the serpent's neck, teeth sinking through scales. A sharp crack echoed as bone yielded. The snake's body went limp, its threat extinguished. Silence wrapped the barnyard again, broken only by Luna's heavy breaths and the trembling mews of her kittens. Her fur was matted with dust and flecks of venomous drool, but she was alive. Her heart pounded like a war drum, adrenaline fading into excruciating pain. Yet she lifted her head proudly, triumphant. The kittens emerged from hiding, eyes wide with awe as they approached their mother. She lay beside them, chest heaving, but managed a soft purr that spoke volumes. They nuzzled against her, tiny paws kneading her fur as if seeking reassurance. In that moment, Luna's world realigned. Death had circled them, but life had found a way. A silent promise echoed in her gaze. No serpent, no shadow would take them. The bond between mother and child had been forged anew, tempered by fire. For days afterward, the barn was hushed. Luna and her kittens basked in the safety of the farmhouse, sunlight filtering through dusty windows, warming their striped coats. Word of Luna's heroism spread among the farmhands. They spoke of her with reverence, as though she were a legendary defender. Some even whispered that a cat's courage was more potent than a dozen men's blades. Children came to peer at her, wide-eyed, asking if the snake still lay where she had vanquished it. But Luna was beyond trophies. She had given everything, and for now, she only wanted peace and her kittens' laughter. Yet life, as always, moves at its own pace. As the kittens grew, their playful energy filled the barn like spring rain. They chased sunbeams on the floorboards, tumbled over bales of hay, and learned to stalk unsuspecting mice under Luna's watchful eye. At night, they curled around her, purring in contentment. Sometimes they pretended to be brave hunters themselves, stalking each other in mock battles. Luna watched with pride and a flicker of anxiety. She knew danger would come again. Snakes, foxes, perhaps worse, lurking in the shadows of life. But for now, she taught them well. Sharpen your claws, sharpen your senses, and never underestimate the value of family. In the afternoons, when the farmers' children raced into the barn to play, Luna would stand tall, head held high, as though showing off the lineage of warriors she bore. They giggled, mistaking her gravitas for humor. One afternoon, little Clara reached to pet Luna's head, and the mother cat tolerated it with a dignified flick of her tail. Danger past, trust rewarded. Yet, on the edge of her awareness, Luna always remained vigilant. She never slept with both eyes fully closed. The memory of the snake's fang struck deep into her mind. Imagine if she had hesitated, if that split second of doubt had allowed the snake to strike. The image alone made her chest tighten with resolve. She would never let doubt cloud her instincts again. As Milo, Pippa, and Dot approached 4 weeks old, they began following Luna into the nearby fields. The tall grass shimmered in the golden light, a tapestry that held both insects for hunting practice and whispers of unseen threats. Luna led them in lessons. Pounce on the rustling grass, track the scuttling silhouette, retreat to the safety of the barn if anything looked too large. She taught them to read the world as a place of beauty and danger intertwined. Sometimes, when the kittens grew restless or scared, Luna would pause, tail flicking, ears pricked, as if sensing an echo of danger. The kittens would stop and huddle, eyes wide, trusting her unspoken command. In that bond, Luna's heart found its greatest reward. One afternoon, Pippa chased a grasshopper too far from the barn, her small body darting among the tall stalks. Luna measured the distance, calculating risk. A chill wind blew, carrying scents that twisted her whiskers. Something felt off. She realized a shadow had passed overhead, perhaps a hawk scouting for prey. The kittens, young and inexperienced, had no sense of the predator above. Luna's mother's instinct flared, sharper than a blade. She bounded across the field, intercepting Pippa just seconds before the hawk dove. Her claws gripped Pippa's back, pulling her to cover under a fallen log. The hawk screeched in frustration, circling before flying off. Yet another moment of peril averted, and once more, Luna emerged as the unsung hero of her tiny clan. In those moments, we see the relentless rhythm of life, the thrill of survival, and the constant duel between predator and prey. Luna's story illustrates how survival is not just about strength, but about presence of mind. She did not simply attack. She assessed, avoided, protected. Each hiss, each growl, each calculated strike was a lesson etched into her kittens' minds. They watched, learned, and followed in her paw prints. When they leapt awkwardly to catch their first mouse or hissed at an intruding rat, Luna purred approval. She taught them respect for life's fragility and the importance of unity. In her litter, they saw themselves not as lone hunters but as a family bound by a shared purpose: to survive, to thrive, to protect one another. As the weeks turned into months, the kittens grew into sleek adolescents. Milo's stripes darkened, Pippa's coat shimmered with confidence, and Dot's inquisitive eyes missed nothing. One evening, as golden rays painted the barn in warmth, Luna led them to the edge of a wooded thicket. Shadows danced between the trees. She let them explore, staying just out of sight but never out of reach. The world beyond the farmhouse beckoned, full of adventure and unknown dangers. But Luna's presence gave them courage. When a rustling nest startled them, they froze. Luna appeared, tail raised, and the tension dissolved. Together, they watched an owl glide silently overhead, talons extended in search of prey. The kittens stared in awe, their instincts sang to flee, but Luna's steady gaze told them, learn, observe, respect. Soon, the owl vanished into the twilight, leaving only a hush in its wake. Over time, villagers began to notice the kittens following Luna beyond the barnyard. They whispered that the tortoiseshell queen and her brood were a sign of fortune, that anyone who saw them together would be blessed. More than once, travelers stopped to marvel at the sight. A mother and her 3 children, moving with the silent confidence of a small pride of lions. The villagers, touched by this family's bond, started leaving scraps near the barn, as though paying tribute. Yet it was Luna's story, her battle with the snake, that truly captured their hearts. Old Mrs. Caldwell, who lived down the lane, claimed she saw Luna chase away a rat as large as a rabbit and thought, "This cat is no ordinary feline." Some nights, around flickering hearth fires, people would recount Luna's bravery as though sharing a legend. But legends are built on moments. One crisp morning, a neighbor's dog wandered onto the property, its low growl echoing through the barn. The kittens, ever curious, poked their heads out, tails flicking. Luna lifted her head, sensing the intruder. She hissed, a low rumble that sent the kittens scuttling for cover. The dog, big and bristling, charged toward the entrance. Luna darted forward, for bristling, standing between the door and her family. Though smaller than the dog by half, she refused to yield. The dog circled, jaws snapping, but Luna's eyes burned with an unwavering fire. For a tense moment, predator and protector faced off. Then, with a defiant yowl, Luna leapt at the dog's muzzle. Surprised, the dog recoiled, whimpering and backing away. Luna chased it out of the barnyard, claws extended, until it finally retreated down the lane. The kittens emerged trembling but fascinated. Once more, Luna had proven that courage is not measured in size but in heart. Months passed, and the kittens matured. They became capable hunters in their own right, bringing baby mice and wary voles to Luna as offerings. She accepted them, but only half-heartedly, less as sustenance and more as tokens of their shared triumphs. Each gift said, We honor the mother who taught us well. The barn transformed from a simple outbuilding into a sanctuary. The pregnant fillies in the stable found a new calm, sensing Luna's guardianship. Even the mice seemed to tread more carefully, as if aware that this was no ordinary barn. When a stray owl perched on a beam at dusk, its yellow eyes scanning for dinner, Luna would sit on guard, her silhouette framed by the last rays of sun, reminding the world that she was ever vigilant. As autumn's chill approached, twilight settled earlier, and the field's tall grass turned bronze. The kittens, now nearly adult cats, stayed closer to Luna, drawn into the flickering warmth of her presence. They shared stories of their first solo hunts, of gazing beyond the fence at distant hills, and of how they would never forget the moment when Luna had faced death itself to save them. There was a pride in their bond, but also a thoughtfulness. Did Luna ever worry for her own safety, alone beneath the stars? In a rare moment, Luna allowed herself to reflect on the cost of her bravery. Every scar on her body, every ache in her side, was a reminder that love demands sacrifice. She thought about the kittens she had lost long ago, the litter she had never met. She realized that each new life she nurtured carried with it a hope that they might live full lives, free from her fears. One evening, as Luna gazed at the horizon, Milo brushed against her, purring. Pippa and Dot nestled at her feet, their eyes bright with longing to explore beyond the farm. Luna sensed their restlessness. A mother's instinct told her it was time to let them venture further, time to trust that the lessons she had taught would carry them. She nudged them gently, and they followed her to the barn gate. Beyond lay unknown roads, forests, and perhaps danger, but also promise. The kittens turned back, rubbing against her legs as if saying goodbye. Luna closed her eyes, a single tear slipping down her whiskered cheek. In her heart, she knew letting them go was the final proof of her love. As the trio stepped into the twilight, paused silent on the dew-wet grass, Luna watched until they vanished into the dusk, carrying pieces of her spirit with them. In the weeks after, Luna returned to her routines alone. She still patrolled the fields, still chased away unwelcome visitors, but the barn felt quieter. Her victories now felt bittersweet. When the farm hands brought fresh hay for winter, she greeted them with a dignified nod, but there was a new weariness in her stride. Memories of her kittens, once stumbling, now leaving, filled her with pride and longing. She often lay on the windowsill at night, ears twitching at every rustle, half expecting her children to slip through the door. Instead, only the echo of her own breathing answered. Yet life moved on, even in solitude. A litter of new kittens arrived under the porch of a nearby shed, 4 tiny gray balls of fur without a mother. Luna sensed their vulnerability and felt a tug she hadn't anticipated. Her heart, though battered by loss, expanded with compassion. She stood and padded toward them, as though answering some silent call. In that moment, the circle of life pivoted. Although she had raised and released her own kittens, she still had more to give. Drawing closer to the tiny orphan kittens, Luna's posture softened. She lay beside them, allowing them to crawl onto her for warmth. She groomed their heads, tested their tiny teeth, comforted their frightened cries. All at once, Luna became the guardian once more, but this time without the fierce urgency of immediate threat. Instead, her instincts guided her to nurture and heal. As night deepened, Luna imagined her own kittens, Milo, Pippa, somewhere under that same moonlight, carrying the lessons she had taught. She imagined them teaching others, her legacy spreading across fields and barns. In her mind's eye, a new generation of cats roamed free, confident and brave, shaped by her example. This story of a cat who saved her kittens from a snake is more than a thrilling animal tale. It reminds us of the raw power of maternal love, the fine line between life and death, and the courage that can surge from a tiny heart when called upon. We often think of bravery as a grand, heroic act in human terms, charging into burning buildings or standing on front lines. But sometimes the fiercest battles happen on silent pause, in dewy mornings, when a mother risks everything for her young. Luna did not wield a sword or wear armor. She had no desire for glory, only the primal instinct to protect life she had brought into the world. Her struggle, though unspoken, resonates with every parent, every caregiver, every being who has ever faced a threat and refused to back down. Think for a moment about your own life. What snakes have you faced? What moments stripped you down to your core, demanding that you choose? Fight or flee? Perhaps it was standing up to a bully who threatened someone you cared about, or staying by a friend in the darkest hour, even when fear whispered that you should walk away. Luna's story invites us to see that heroism isn't reserved for epic sagas. It's in the everyday leaps of faith we take to protect those we love. It's in the decision to stand when running feels safer. It's in the quiet vigilance that watches over our families, friendships, and communities while the world sleeps. And yet, Luna's story also reminds us of the necessity to let go. Her kittens had to venture out on their own. Letting go, caring from a distance, trusting that those we nurture will carry our lessons forward. This can be the most courageous act of all. It is a reminder that our greatest gifts are sometimes intangible. Confidence, resilience, a sense of safety that transcends physical boundaries. As Luna watched her kittens disappear into the night, she realized that her role had shifted. She was no longer the sole guardian. She had become a teacher of guardians, sending 3 fledglings into the world to protect others in turn. In life we encounter snakes of many kinds: jealousy, fear, prejudice, illness. We cannot always prevent them from appearing, but we can prepare, learn to sense their approach, and stand firm when they strike. We can build bonds of trust and love so that when darkness comes, we face it together. Luna's barn, once a simple shelter, had become a sanctuary, a testament to unity between mother and children. Each hiss she uttered, each strike of her claws, was an unspoken promise that love could conquer even lethal peril. When the first snow fell that winter, Luna stood on the barn's roof, snowflakes drifting onto her whiskers. She felt the ache of solitude but also the warmth of memories. Her heart swelled with pride at what she had accomplished. The tiny hisses, the desperate leaps, the ultimate triumph. She had shown that a single mother cat could rewrite her kitten's destinies. And though her brood had grown and gone, she remained a sentinel, a creature forged by instinct and love. So next time you see a cat prowling the shadows, consider the epic dramas that unfold beyond our sight. Remember Luna and her kittens and the snake that nearly cut their story short. In their story, you see your own capacity for courage, for sacrifice, and for letting go. You see the power of connection, how one small act of bravery ripples outward, shaping futures. You see that we are all, in our own way, guardians, standing between the threats out there and the ones we hold dear. Thank you for listening. If Luna's journey stirred something in you, join our family here. Subscribe and become part of a community that values the quiet heroes, the unsung defenders, and the enduring bonds of love. Stay with us because together, we can face any shadow. Subscribe.